who is the developer.
Who are the people behind it?
The more information you get, the safer you will feel. A lot of developers that are not applying for the proper permit, there's a lot of money invested. One thing you should not do is, they're smart, yeah? They have lawyers. They are better lawyers than you.
Oh, they'll do everything to work themselves out of a delay penalty.
How long the developer guarantees the construction?
What you get in a render
Render
is not always real life.
is tricky.
So today we're talking about if you ever bought or considering to buy off-plan in Bali through a major developer or smaller developer, what are the things you should look out for? Problems, credibility, construction and permits, financial safety and payment terms, all those kinds of things. We've done a bit of a checklist, which we will put on our website later, and we'll just run through the points briefly now with Omri, yeah?
Yeah. All right. So welcome to Bali Business Club. You forgot to say that. And
well, there we go.
Just a quick piece of information before. We have a website. No one knows about it. It's balibusinessclub.com. At the moment, it's just a glorified version of what YouTube has to offer. I mean, probably not even glorified because there's no comments and whatnot, but just you can find all the podcasts that we've shot on the website. We have a plan for this website, and we are going to be adding in the next coming weeks, months, years, a lot of resources, whatever resources we've used in the past podcast or the upcoming podcasts. For example, right now I have on my iPad here basically the structure of this podcast, which is basically a bunch of questions that we've prepared. So those questions are going to be shared as a list on the website, and there'll be a bunch of other great things resources on the website as well. So if you want to check it out, it's balibusinessclub.com, and there will be more things to come on the website.
We've got a good guide, actually a property investment guide. We got this checklist.
Yeah,
we got 4 or 5 things we could put up there. All right, so we're back, obviously, with Omri and myself, Gawain, and today we're talking about buying off-plan in Bali, everything you should and should not do, and things you've got to be really cautious of. Like, we were speaking to a couple of buyers of some big property developments last week, and they were just like, what kind of checks and balances have you put in place before you bought the property? And it was quite surprising as to how little these people had done. So we decided to do this.
Yeah.
And also, have you ever bought off-plan?
Have I?
Yeah.
No.
I bought once, actually, many years ago. Yeah, in Cape Town.
In Cape Town? I sell off-plan.
Yeah.
I don't buy off-plan.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering.
I'm a developer myself.
I bought once, and it put me off buying. Yeah, it was many years ago.
I didn't know. You're keeping secrets from me, my friend.
I do. Not the only one.
Yeah, I hope so. Before we move forward, quick introduction. I'm Omri. For the new viewers, I'm the CEO of Kosongsato Group. We run a bunch of companies here and a lot of in real estate. I'm an investor myself. I invest a lot in private equity and real estate. As far as real estate is concerned, we are operating a real estate fund called thekedungufund.com. You can check it out if you're interested in investing in Bali without all the issues you can get from investing in real estate. If you want something very relaxed and safe, this is the right place for you to go. We also have a real estate agency in Kedungu as well, kedungurealestate.com. We develop villas as well. So this is us. All right, okay, let's dive in. So, what do we talk about first? Where do you want to start?
Let's start at the top.
Okay, let's start at the top. Developers' credibility. So we meet a lot of people that invest in Bali, whether they invest with us or somewhere else. A lot of them invest in have a variety of investments in Bali. Sometimes land, some for land banking. Sometimes they build a villa, and sometimes they buy off-plan from a developer. I have people also that have bought off-plan from me, and so I'm also on the other side as a developer. We always kind of hear the same issues. We thought it'd be interesting to have a podcast that talks about that, the questions you may ask yourself, or the question you should ask the developer before actually jumping into some deal or contract with anyone. Bali is a little bit it's not a mature market. It's still in the making. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of developers out there. A lot of them are great, but some of them are not so great. So it's important that you guys have the right tools to be able to start an investment and feel safe about it. First question you need to ask yourself, who is the developer? If you see some ad on Instagram or Facebook or any social media or in the street, lots of billboard in the street, it's not because they have a billboard in the Canggu shortcut that they are legit. It doesn't mean anything, yeah? So you need to ask yourself, who is the developer? The first thing you do is do your own research. Do they have a track record in Bali? Do they only have renders? Or most of them only have renders because most of them have not yet built anything. And this is a little bit dangerous. It doesn't mean you shouldn't go for it. Sometimes it's okay, but you need to, do your due diligence, yeah?
And the most important thing there is also just to add, who are the people behind it?
Yeah,
absolutely. So the directors,
absolutely. Internet is your best friend here, so go and Google them as much as you can. Check the names. Check on LinkedIn. Look if there is any social media posts that talk about them, whether on Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, you name it. Go and check. This is something I always do. Go on their website. If you type in Google, for example, domain name who is, there's a bunch of websites that offer that service. You arrive on some website like whois.net, for instance, and you type, or domaintools.com, you type in the website of the developer, and I will tell you a bunch of information, especially when the website domain name was purchased. So if you're talking to a developer that says on the market for 10 years and the website has been done last month, that it can be worrying. Another thing that's for those geeks out there, you can also check on Wayback Machine, like go way back. Just Google it, you'll find the right link. And this is a website that takes snapshots of all the websites in the world at different points in time. So if you go on, you go on kosongsatugroup.com, for example, our company, you will see on Wayback Machine, you will see what the website looks like now, and you will see what the website looks like at the different snapshots. So last year, the year before, and so on and so forth. So you can see also the evolution of the website of the developer, and I think that's a pretty good way to see who they were before, if anything. The more information you get, the safer you will feel, and the more chances you have to not make a mistake down the road and send $200,000 or $300,000 or more to some shady dude. Yeah. Another good thing also is to ask them for. So when you talk to them, you say, okay, I would like to talk to one of your buyers, or 2 or 3 of your buyers, previous buyers. Hopefully, it's not only their friends and family. So we have, can talk to people that are impartial, and ask them, 1,000 questions, how the process went, and a bunch of things, so you have a better idea of who you're dealing with.
I think reviews would fall in there. So check every review platform from Trustpilot to
Trustpilot, Google, and
everything.
So on. Yeah. But reviews are sometimes easy to fake. Unless the developer has 1,000 reviews, if you have like 15 reviews, it's very easy to fake. It's always good to do it, but it's not bulletproof.
But it should draw a whole kind of picture. If you do all of these points, you'll get a picture that kind of illustrate where they are and who they are and what they're doing. And not every single point is bulletproof, but overall, it should draw a picture. Yeah.
Correct. Okay, so let's assume that step has been green-lighted, that developer is legit. There's no skeleton in the cupboards.
What would you define as a legit developer there? Like how many developments, how many years? Most developers are under 5 years old for sure in Bali or post-COVID.
I would say legit is the opposite of not legit. So if you find something sketchy, the rest is legit. If there's nothing sketchy, you can move forward with the next steps and checking other things. But I mean, there's no definition of legit.
Not legit, but I would say new.
I think everyone has their taste for risk, and as much as, for example, you might not. Your definition of legit in Cape Town or in France or in the States might be something. It might be different here. So it's it's up to the discretion of the investors to decide that. But I would say for that next step, for that first step to being green lighted, if you haven't found something specifically sketchy about it, then you can move to the next step and keep doing your due diligence. Yeah.
What's next? Land and legal.
Legal due diligence. This is the one thing you must do, and is not done by yourself. This is done by a notary. So the reason we put it there, it seemed pretty obvious to me, but we talked to our friend a couple of days ago. We won't name him, but he knows because he will watch this. Hi, Alex.
I think you just know it really well because you do a lot of land transactions, so it's something essential. But if you're buying off plan and it's through a reputable developer, people are just like, oh no, it's
Yeah, but that's
handled.
the thing. There's
It's
no.
done.
I mean, how many reputable companies have gone belly up,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
or have done some sort of misleading clients or
Sure.
or anything, you know, not 100% kosher. Yeah. Of course, there's more chances that if you go to Mira, Oxo, all these guys, Coco, it's all gonna be okay. Yeah. However, regardless, you have no excuse. I mean, it costs nothing. You know, it costs a couple of $100, you know, to do diligence by a notary. You should do it. You would do it when it's in your old country. There's no reason you shouldn't do it here. So whether the developer is a huge developer or it's a tiny little small one, you need to do the diligence on the actual land because this is what the notary does. And you need to do it with your notary, not the developer's notary. So if you don't know any notary, call me. Please.
Or watch our previous podcast with we did a whole podcast with
With Similar, with
yeah.
Notary Similar, yeah. We can hook you with up with her if you want. Please do not accept the notary from whoever you're buying from. The notary should always come from the buyer and not from the seller. This is number one rule because there are still, unfortunately, some corrupt notaries in Indonesia, and you don't want to be in the case where you know they are playing you for some reason. So due diligence, what will they check? They will check the land zoning. They will check the title of the land title. So all the documents are called certificate here. They will check that the land has not been collateralized by a bank, so the owner gets some sort of loan or whatever. They will check a bunch of things, that all the documents are all proper. One thing in Bali with the certificates, I would say 50% of the cases when I invest in some land or with the fund, for instance, when I invest in land, 50% of cases the documents are missing something, and a lot of those cases have to do with inheritance. So when the land is in the name of the father or the grandfather, and the transition paper, the inheritance paper, the heirs have not done because there's a fee attached to it, so they just delay and don't do it.
So the title's still in the person
yeah,
who's passed
exactly.
away.
It's okay for the title to be in someone else's name as long as you have a letter proving that the heirs are the rightful heirs. That letter is in many cases missing, and the land is in many cases in the father's name or the grandfather's name or whoever. Yeah. So there's a bunch of things that the access is very important.
Road access. Yeah.
Road access, super important. What is the access? Is it the bike access? Is it car access? Is there the possibility to do U-turn at the end? I have this problem in my house at the moment.
It's been a hot topic around the office last week.
Exactly. Is it secured? Is it legally secured? You need to ask all these things.
Parking, yeah. It's also,
Parking, and so on and so forth. What's next on my list? I'm going to refer to this.
Construction and permit.
So before it was called IMB, now it's called PBG and SLF. So this is the building permit. There are a lot of developers that are not applying for the proper permit. They think they can get away, and some will, with applying at the end of the project where the law specifically stipulate that the permit should be, so the PBG, should be applied for at the beginning of the project. It's not a deal breaker, but you know these are things that you need to be aware of, and you run this by your notary. You ask if it's okay or not.
So the big issue with who's it? Park in Ubud was a construction permit, no?
Yeah, they had a problem with the construction permit.
I mean, that was a big problem.
It's a big problem, and they closed it.
Place is massive.
Yeah, and a lot of investors must have freaked out.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of money invested in that project.
Yeah, and there was a permit issue,
Yeah, but
amongst
I think
other things.
it's solved now.
So getting your permit wrong can be a big problem.
Yeah.
Construction timeline with realistic milestones.
Okay, so
which is important. Because,
it's very important because the national sports here in construction is delays. So you have acceptable delays because of Ramadan, because of rainy season. Like this year, the rainy season was completely crazy. So every project, I mean, it's rained 3 months in a non-stop.
Sure.
So all the projects, including ours, have been delayed because the workers couldn't work as fast as they normally do. And that's okay. But you need to ask yourself and ask the developers, what is the plan in the contract if there is delays? Some developers, including some big names, which I won't name, they have a clause that explains about delays and there is penalties for that. There should be a penalty.
Sure,
This is
absolutely.
for sure. Yeah?
Your cash is getting tied up.
Exactly. Some developers, they do everything they can to not pay the penalties, which I think is very unfair. I mean, it's a game, but it is what it is. So you should be careful with that. One thing you should not do is never sign the handover document if the penalties have not been acknowledged and agreed upon beforehand.
What do you mean agreed upon?
So you have a contract that says the property will be handed over in March 2026, for instance. If there's 3 months delay and they tell you, okay, here are the keys, and can you sign the handover form? If you sign the handover form, it's in a lot of the handover form, it kind of like annuls everything that's happened in the past. Yeah. So you got to be careful with that. They are smart. Yeah. They have lawyers. They are better lawyers than you.
Oh, they'll do everything to work themselves out of a delay penalty.
So make sure that you have the penalties, signed and agreed upon by the developer, and the transfer, if not the transfer already done, before you sign the handover paper, in case the handover paper have a clause that cancel any sort of wrongdoing in the past. Yeah, delays or whatnot. So be careful with that. Yeah.
Insurance.
Is the building insured? Every property in India should be insured. If you're buying a villa, there are 2 things. Yep. There's the insurance once you have the keys and when it's yours, and this is your normal property insurance. And then there's a construction insurance. So the one thing you want to ask is, do they have insurance if something goes wrong?
Earthquake.
Earthquake.
It's a big one.
Any force majeure stuff. If something breaks, if someone dies, if whatever, they need to have an insurance, and you want to have a look at this insurance. So don't feel shy to ask for the insurance paper on the construction. They should give it to you.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then there's the insurance for the property, which it's not on the developer side, it's on you. Once you have the keys of the house or the villa or the apartment, unless it's an apartment building which is already insured by the developer, it falls upon you to insure your own property. It's fairly cheap in Indonesia. I think for a normal 2-3 bedroom house, you probably pay anywhere between $200 and $500 a year.
Deposits, financial safety.
Financial safety and payment terms. How does it work when you buy off plan? So there's all kinds of payment structures out there. We do something, other people do other thing. I don't even remember what we do exactly. It's usually around 30, 40% upfront.
It's usually 10.
Yeah, so you have a 5 or 10% right off the bat to lock the deal in. So they stop marketing the property, and then within the next you do your due diligence, and this takes 2 weeks or 1 month, whatever. Within that time frame, you have to pay 30 or 40% of the total costs. Okay, and then you have installments until the end of the project. Okay. What you want is keep a 5 or 10%, the last installment of 5 or 10% that you want to keep for a while after the handover of the project, in case something is...
For after the snag.
Snag. We're going to talk about that. Yeah. Snag doesn't exist here. Yeah.
It doesn't?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. So this is a great business idea that we had. I'd love to do it, but I don't have the time. So if anyone wants to do it, the snagging business is something you can get, in my opinion, very, very rich on in Bali.
So getting somebody to stay in the property, do all the snag lists, do all for 2 weeks after the keys are handed over.
What I usually do on the villas that I build is I have someone, or friend or staff or whatever, who stays in the villa for a week. Actually, experience the place and see if
slams the doors and kicks the bed.
Exactly. No, what I meant by snagging, like a proper snagging business, is they have this in Dubai, for instance. You have companies snagging companies. So they go to a property and they check all the construction technical stuff. And then there's a checklist, like it's huge, yeah.
Okay.
They have apps they come with the iPad and they say, okay, so they have a whole bunch of tools to check your humidity, to check the density of the cement, to check.
Okay, so the technical.
Technical stuff.
things.
But
Okay.
it doesn't exist here in a country where construction is a big question mark. Yeah.
Okay.
If anyone wants to do it with us, call us. We're ready. I have the Excel sheet already. I worked on this. Okay, so back to this. Where are we? Financial terms. So yeah, you should keep like a 5-10% at least until building permits are completed, because they will be completed after the handover. It takes sometimes 6 months. I just wrote today for a building permit for a house I built in Babakan 2 years ago.
Oh,
year
wow.
and a half ago, which is still not done. So
Okay.
it depends how much work they have at the government office and whatnot.
But that 5% has to be negotiated up front before you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's your last installment, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's not advertised. It's never advertised that.
No, I mean some do it, some don't. No one wants to do it, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
But we're not talking to developers here. We're talking to buyers.
That's interesting. I didn't know that either. Okay.
Yeah. Another thing you should ask, since we are talking about this, is how long, and that should be in the contract, how long the developer guarantees the construction. So usually 1 year is good, 6 months to 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are in the place and something breaks, who does it fall upon to fix it?
Mm-hmm.
If it's something structural, I mean, hypothetically, it should be the developer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a limit in time, obviously, yeah,
Sure.
because of the normal wear and tear of any building, yeah. So, I mean, 6 months, 1 year, I think is good. Whatever the duration, it's always good to include a rainy season in that time frame. And this is something you can absolutely negotiate with the developer on the spot. It's not, you don't have to,
Rainy season as in mold, mainly.
I mean, as
anything.
mold, flooding,
Yeah.
leaking
leaking
in the roof, and
yeah.
20-30% of properties here will have an issue in the rainy season. Especially, I mean, this rainy season,
Yeah.
I mean, to be very transparent, some of our properties had issues
Yeah.
because it was too much water,
Yeah.
So
But Bali also is it's hard on places. It's hard on villas and accommodation. The humidity, the environment, the rain, the wetness.
the weather in Bali generally is
Yeah.
very harsh.
It's harsh
because
yeah.
you have extreme heat, and then you have extreme water, humidity,
Yeah.
and then you have salt from the ocean. So all of these, the houses, they don't like that.
No,
None of that. Yeah.
It takes strain. You can see.
Yeah,
you can
absolutely.
See it,
Yeah.
What is the last
Financial
one?
terms.
Bankruptcy. How do you protect against bankruptcy? I don't know if you can really, but yeah.
This is a tough one.
You got to knock on his door.
Yeah,
Ask for your money back.
Goes back to point number one. You got to do your due diligence on the developer. If you're investing your money with a smaller developer, this has to be part of the risk ratio that you accept as an investor.
Yeah, the more boutique the development, the higher the risk for
Absolutely.
things like bankruptcy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So anything else here?
Escrow. I know this is a big thing in land transactions, but deposits into escrow, I don't know if it's necessary. It's not really.
I mean, yes and no, because when you buy off plan, it can go into escrow, it's no problem, but it is not going to stay in escrow. Because the whole point for a developer to sell off plan is to leverage the buyer's money to build the place.
Sure.
Yeah. In most cases. We do
Nearly
it,
all
everyone
places,
does it,
yeah.
Yeah. So for a developer, off plan is a dream come true because basically the only expense they have is acquiring the land and the architectural work. So let's say, it's very minimal. And a lot of people, I mean, most people now, so that's since COVID. Before COVID, off-plan was way cheaper, and now it's the norm. I mean, I have personally never sold a house built. Every single villa that I have sold is off-plan, or half-built, or I've never finished
then sold
I've
it.
always sold them before I finish them. You know.
It's just so much more capital intensive, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So you can ask. Escrow is not really relevant in that case. Whilst you do your due diligence, sure, no problem. So if the developer is asking for 20% down payment upfront, then you say, okay, no problem, but you put it in the escrow account of the notary
Until I do this.
until the due diligence is green lighted, and then it's released to the developer so you can enjoy it and go to the Bahamas with your money or finish your building.
So what are you exactly getting?
Are the units delivered fully furnished, semi-furnished, or bare? So this is an interesting question.
Interesting with finishings also, because renders, what you get in a render is not always real life.
It's tricky. Yeah. So one rule of thumb, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of my friends, they come to me and they show me renders of company of villas or whatever, or apartment buildings. They say, Omri, should I buy it? Before I even look at the deck of the developer and the actual proposal that they have, I look at the renders. If the renders are bad quality, chances are the building won't be top-notch, right? Because if you, as a developer, don't put a lot of attention and love into your marketing material, what are the chances they're going to put some love into the building that you've already bought? So they don't care anymore.
I agree with that, but it's going in the other direction these days, as in AI is getting so good with giving good renders that might not be 100% accurate. So you think you're getting a mahogany finish.
They're not using AI yet.
They are using. I've seen
a little bit, not 100%.
No. On more, not so much the technical renders, but more of the marketing, scene setting. You know, sitting by the pool.
for close-ups and ambience thing.
Yeah. But it's getting more and more, and it will be more and more.
Right, for sure. That's if you get some SketchUp renders, run away. Because it means this guy they're trying to save money on because like to do a proper render, like a ultra realistic render by outsourcing
and technically correct,
it costs a few $1,000s, and some developers don't want to spend it, so they just do in-house SketchUp. SketchUp do okay renders, but not amazing. So this is important. Now let's move on from the quality of the renders to something else. You need to ask the developer, are the renders contractual? So if you see a render of this and there's this beautiful frame from my friend Pedro from La Posteria, quick
shout out,
who does this art. You need to ask if in that render you have La Posteria's poster. You need to ask the developer, will that be in the handovered property, or is it just for decoration for the render? I mean, the lamp, the plants, and so on and so forth. So basically, when you're buying something, are you getting what you're seeing, and is what you're seeing in your contract? And actually, in good developers, and I know some of them do, I've seen Oxo do it, and I've seen other contracts from other developers, you should have an inventory of every single item that's included in the property at the handover. So I'm talking toilet paper here. I'm talking forks and knives and glasses and bed sheets and stuff like that. So this is something you should be aware of, because if you get your property and then there's a bare minimum, you're gonna have to spend more money to make it livable. And that's not cool, because this is not what you were sold.
Material specifications or finishings, that's tricky. I mean, how do you know what floor finishings you're going to get? Because you look on a render, it looks like a wood veneer.
Sure.
But you want a teak.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good point. You need, in every project, there should be an interior designer. Okay. Interior designers have mood boards and they have material list. I forgot the name. There's a name for it. So basically, we have an interior design company. Anais is running it. So basically, on every room, you have the list of items, including that room, and then you have the exact material that's being used, and there's usually some brand reference. So, for example, if it's I don't know, for example, here it's wood, so it's probably Bankirai, I guess. So it should be written Bankirai, wooden floor, with that tone.
Teak,
and
935,
or teak, or, yeah,
6,
exactly.
or-
Yeah.
okay.
So you should ask for that. I mean,
Yeah.
don't be shy to not ask. Don't trust your developer, man. Developers, once you've paid them, they have no incentive to deliver something better than what they told you. And if you're missed on a point, for sure they won't. You know.
Because there is for sure quality fade or scope creep on these developments, especially the bigger ones. You know, you look at the thing and then they kind of cut and save little costs here and there on their finishings, mainly
Sure.
finishings.
Of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
I mean, wherever they can cut costs, they will.
Yeah.
It's fair game, you know. It's business, you know. But then, you know, the problem is like it's the difference between expectations and what you actually get. You know,
There's many memes about that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so next point. I'll let you read the title, my friend.
Okay, so ROI, we've discussed this in I think 2-3 podcasts. Yeah.
We did a podcast specifically dedicated to that.
Supply and
actually,
demand.
that was the last podcast, wasn't it?
No, it was like 2-3 ago. It was like the supply demand ROI.
So we did a podcast on ROI, the relationship between oversupply, of supply of villas and ROI. So when there's an oversupply of villas, the ROI is low, and then it's a trend, and it's a cycle that goes like a DNA element, you know. And so you should be aware of it. So definitely watch that podcast so you understand what we are talking about here. But basically, the way developers will sell you is by promising a high ROI. All of them will do it. It's fair game. They're not going to tell you we have no idea how much you're going to make, you know. So they tell you you're going to make 15% ROI, net ROI, or 20%, or 12, or 30, or 27, or whatever number, yeah. So you have to understand, and we're not gonna talk very long on this because we did that podcast. So you should definitely watch that podcast. But you have to understand that what is promised is not what you will get, and that's 100% sure. What is promised may be an average of what we will get over 10 years or 5 years or whatever.
Yes.
But it's not going to be what you will get every year because it's cyclical. So sometimes the villa market is favorable for rental, and sometimes it's less favorable. So your ROI will go up and down along the years. If you're in here for the long game, it doesn't matter. At the end you have averages, and you will make your averages, which is hopefully what the developers promised. But a lot of developers are basing their ROI on 1 or 2 years of experience only, or worse, 1 or 2 years of experience that they have not experienced of other people. And because we are in 2025 now, a lot of developers in 2025 are basing their ROI numbers on anything between COVID and now, which were the crazy years. Where
I wonder if
everything
there's
was expensive.
a way that you could hold your developer, because a lot of them do their management themselves.
Yeah.
If you could hold them accountable to the numbers they publish,
I mean,
some kind of clawback or something.
No, yeah, some do. Some give you a guaranteed ROI.
Okay.
It's in the contract, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Not always, but some do. Which is, I
If
think
they're doing the
it's-
management.
I think it's dangerous.
Yeah.
I think it's completely preposterous to do it. I mean, you have no way to guarantee it because you have COVID, you have all bunch of
but there would
stuff.
be force majeure or something that you could put in that, or just like some kind of tiers where you charge less of a management fee if you don't hit certain.
As an investor, I'd be more comfortable, but then again, I know the market here, but I would be more comfortable in a developer that is honest with me, that tells me, look, this is what it is. This is a situation.
Sure.
That apartment building is in Uluwatu or in Kedungu or in Seminyak, whatever. We think we're going to make that much money based on past years, or based on historical data surrounding the building. I don't want to give you false hopes. I don't want to give you, fake expectations, wrong expectations. But it should be around that money. But a lot of them are like, yeah, you're gonna make that much money.
Yeah. So if you talk like that, you must pay. If you don't do it,
Yeah. So anyway, watch that our I podcast. It's you will understand better how things work here on this island.
Occupancy rates, average daily rental. It just must stack up, I suppose, as far as Airbnb DNA, REI Read, which is our mates who do those reporting, and property management reports. So it just has to be logical, I suppose.
Another thing we need to talk about is, are there any hidden costs down the line? So after handover. So, and that should be in the contract as well. What does it imply to have a property managed by the developer or by a sister company of the developer? Is there like monthly costs? Mm-hmm. What are they? Are there the building taxes, the land taxes? Who is paying for it? So, you should, be very, very careful with that. How much are you going to pay in monthly expenses like property, maintenance and security and parking guy
gardening
or whatever, yeah.
Pools and
exactly. Pool maintenance, maid. Yeah. So these are questions you should ask yourself before, yeah. Or as a developer at least, yeah.
Who's managing the rental? So management company, usually if you buy off plan, that development will usually do the rental management.
No, sorry, not necessarily, because it's true for the big developers.
Yeah.
It's true with the big developers. Yeah. If you're thinking Mira, Oxo, Coco, and so on.
If it's 3 or 4 villas, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What I would do as an investor is I would be okay with the developer managing the villas. It kind of makes sense especially if it's in a cluster of properties, like an apartment building or a cluster of villas.
Some you have to do it.
But you need to have the options to get out also, to be able to choose your own property management.
I know some of the developments won't even let you these days. It's you have to.
Well, I mean, at least ask.
Yeah,
and
you must know what you're getting into, because you buy the property and then you have to use them as a development, as a management company.
But then ask also, if they refuse, ask yourself and ask them why. What's the reason? So it can be legitimate, but it can not be as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So exit strategy and resale flexibility.
Okay. Are there any resale restrictions? If you buy a property within a development, like a bigger development, there might be some resale restrictions. So of course, your interest is that there aren't any. So it's up to you to check that. Make sure that it's aligned with your expectations and with your acceptance of what's happening down the road. You need to have, and this is very important, and your notary should make sure that you have it. Most of those properties are leasehold, so you need to be able to sublease the property. Otherwise, you're stuck with it. In most contracts, you need, in Indonesia, in most contracts, when you sublease the property, you need to inform the owner of the land or whoever is on top. So you're the person you sublease the property from. I mean, the person you lease the property from. And when you sublease it, then you need to inform that person. Be careful that in the contract it's written to inform and not to ask the permission.
Okay.
Those are two different things, right?
Important differentiation.
Yeah. Does the developer offer like a platform or support when you resell the property? What's happening there? Maybe there's a marketplace, or they have their own marketplace,
or an agency,
or they I know some, and it's more and more. Our good friend Pierre from GeoNet, good developer. Great company to invest, so check it out. GeoNet, GEONET. I like to promote friends here. They are doing fractionalized hotel rooms, fractionalized properties, and a lot of hotel rooms. So there's also that exit strategy some developers offer. So there's many things to ask there.
Cool. So then after sales and handover.
So we touched on that a little bit before. What warranty is provided on construction and finishes? So typically 6 to 12 months. We discussed this before.
Snagging.
Who handles the snagging and defect repairs after handover? Are they responsive to previous buyers after delivery, or do they disappear once the sale is done? Yeah, I think the bigger the developer, the more chances you have of having someone to help you with, whatever issue you may have. But it's not a rule. I mean, I always help my clients, even if it's past the.
Well, the bigger the developer,
the
they'll always want the
period.
resale. They'll always want another sale into the next development of theirs, Whereas if it's just a once-off, they don't really care. They're in and out. But you would want to nurture your clients. For the
Of
resale.
course, exactly. Yeah.
Communication and transparency. So, are your questions? I mean, this is more of a soft measure, but are your questions answered correctly and promptly? Are they trying to rush you or use pressure selling tactics, which is a big thing?
Yeah.
Sales agents love that. Globally, it's not a Bali problem, but they do it in Bali. It's like, this unit's finished. There's 5 guys lining up.
For more.
Pay the deposit right now.
I have 10 clients.
Yeah.
I would buy it myself. If you're not buying it, I'm taking it myself. This is classic,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
this definitely. Let me just quickly say something about that. Do not. So I'm going to get a lot of haters here.
No.
Do not trust real estate agents. Real estate agents have zero empathy, and they don't care for anything except the 5% commission they are getting, or 2% or whatever it is. Yeah, they don't trust them. That's it. There's no. I've seen many real estate agents.
that's a broad statement.
It's a broad statement. Some of them are okay.
Yeah.
Some of them
There's
are
some
okay.
really good agencies around.
But at the end, no, I'm not talking about agencies. I'm talking about real estate agents.
But real estate agents work for agencies.
Yeah,
so
sure.
you have to be reputable within the agency you work in. It's a cultural thing.
But it's they want to make the sale. If they don't make the sale, they don't eat.
Of course.
So it's a question of survival.
Yeah.
And you're a mark.
Yeah.
You're
And they
a
work
mark.
only on commissions or mainly commissions these days.
Only
There's
commissions.
Yeah.
Only
So
commissions, yeah.
exactly, they don't make the sale. They don't eat. So
Don't trust everything they tell you. As
Just give
soon
them
as
the-
you feel they're trying to bullshit the bullshitter, it's a red flag.
Or
And
just
so
give
it
it.
doesn't
Just,
mean it's a deal breaker because
Yeah.
it's there in their nature, but it's a little red flag. So just make sure you are okay with those red flags. Yeah?
or just give them the checklist and tell them to come back to you when it's finished.
But also that's why it's also great to talk to previous buyers, because you may start to draw a comprehensive picture of who you're dealing with, and also in reviews. If you look at reviews, Trustpilot, Google, and so on and so forth.
Okay, and then the final one, I suppose, also a bit of a soft measure, and you have to do a little bit of the legwork yourself. But finding out what's going on around you, really important in Bali. We've actually discussed this in a previous podcast. What developers next door to you? Is there going to be a bar or a nightclub? What's the zoning? Is there a hotel going to go up? We discussed a couple of the properties next to Atlas and those kinds of nightmares. So I think you need to be aware of that, speak to your community, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, there's a whole podcast on that called the 7 key tips when you buy a property or something like that.
Something like
we'll
that.
put the link in the description. But yeah, there's a bunch of things you need to be aware of. Your surrounding being the most important. So whenever you think, I made a great deal and the view is amazing, there are 2 red flags in here. Great deal and view is amazing. So be careful of deals that are too good to be true, are too good to be true. So there's no reason for anyone to do a too good to be true deal when the market is thriving and there are clients for normal prices. So just ask yourself this question: why a deal would be amazing? You don't need to make an amazing deal. Make a deal you're happy with that will make good money. But whenever you're your greed takes go on top of your reason. This creates a problem. So be careful with that. There's no too good deals. Too good to be true. This doesn't exist. Yeah. So that's one thing. And the view. So second part of the sentence. Yeah. Views in Bali tend to disappear. If you have a view, so you need to ask yourself about the view, like what you're looking, but also what happens if someone, even if the view is not amazing, but what happens if someone builds right in front of me, okay? So I'm not talking about like a magnificent ocean view here, but if someone, you don't have lights anymore. So the one question you want to ask the developer is, and they will probably bullshit you about it, but at least you've asked, is what's happening around the property. So if you're a villa here, who is the owner of this one, the owner of this one, the owner of this one? Are the lands free? I mean, there's a view, and what's happening, in the near future? You might want to go and inquire yourself, talking to neighbors and the local owners around and the bonjar and community in that area. So,
but just work on the worst case scenario that your view is of something. Assume something will get built right in front of you. What would happen to your property price? Are you going to be eviscerated?
Yeah, you'd be crumble.
Well, yeah. But
I've seen it so many times.
Sure.
But then, so have you. Yeah?
But then design appropriately,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you need, for example, the villas that I make, I always design them when there's a view to enjoy the view, but also to be the villa to be okay, to be still great, if something is built.
Mm-hmm.
So
like inward facing or a U shape around the pool.
Exactly. Yeah. The rule of thumb is if you're investing south of Raya Canggu, but even north, a little bit north.
Yeah, these days. Yeah.
Your view is gonna go. It's not if, it's when. It's a guaranteed thing almost. There's no reason why your view won't go. Because the land in front of you, someone owns it and someone wants to make money with it. So they will make something there,
Sure.
So, the question you need to ask yourself is that if they make something, is my property still worth something? Or is it completely rendered like
useless?
Yeah.
And that's a big problem.
We've seen
you lose your view, and then you have a nightclub next to you.
The noise and the view. Yeah,
your investment's gone. It's
so
zero.
If you invest too close to the beach, there will be a nightclub. There will be a beach club. It's a guaranteed thing, 100%.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Mitigate. Speak to the Kedungu fund.
Yeah. And watch our podcast.
Yeah, we'll put this into a nice looking PDF, a little checklist. You can give it to your agent, you can give it to your developer, and just work through it if you're ever considering buying off plan. Do your homework.
Yeah.
Do the work. And
BaliBusinessClub.com. So you can find us on social networks, on YouTube. I think we're on Spotify as well. And then BaliBusinessClub.com. The website has been a little bit dormant up until now, and now we are reviving it or
we'll put a resource section there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Cheers.